pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You all received a copy of the minutes, so entertain for a motion to accept the minutes as
I'll move.
moved by Mike,
Second.
second by Nancy. Any discussion, corrections? All in favor? None opposed.
Wasn't here, so I'll put it right on.
We'll go right into public comments. Anyone?
Look here. All right. Gary Reinhardt, Jr. I would like to ask to make an amendment to the contract that Declan Radio has with the Lake Pleasant Town Board. It really didn't hit me until the power was out that there should be a contingency plan in case the power goes out or the internet goes out due to unforeseen circumstances such as the weather. They're working on the line, trees, whatnot. And I would like it to state that in the event that the program cannot be scheduled or cannot be played on its original day and time, which I believe is Thursday at 7 p.m., that it would be put on the next 7 p.m. that is available when the power comes back on.
I don't see any problem with that. Anyone on the board have a problem with
No.
making that amendment? Gary, if you stop sometime, we'll make a note in the contract, and we'll both initial it, just to make it official.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sheriff Abrams. For those who don't know me, I'm here real quick to address a resolution that was tabled last month, or last meeting, in regards to license plate readers that the county is buying. The resolution was brought forth in regards for privacy, and they wanted the county to write a resolution enacting that they're used in strict guidelines. I'm here to let you know, usually I don't get involved with town politics or town business. But this hit home to me because this is something that's not new to the Sheriff's Department. We've had license plate readers, or LPRs, for 12 years now. I've been your sheriff since 2010, and I have a tight policy on them, 3-page policy on them. I think this came about because of an article in the paper that the county was buying them. And I think if the writer of that article had come to me, the last little blurb that he added in there would have alleviated everything, and you wouldn't have had that little blurb in there. Because he knew he would have known I have policy on this. I do not disseminate information on this. I do not sell the information on this. It's in my in-car computers for 30 days before it's rewritten, and it's there for officer safety, for your safety, and I want to make sure everybody knows that. I just usually, like I said, I don't touch town politics, but I thought it was important I address this, and if there's any questions, I'd love to take them.
Any questions?
It's in your patrol car? So
It's not my patrol car. It's in my marked patrol cars.
The marked,
Marked, the ones with the lights and the insignias on the side.
oh, not the secret patrol cars.
Secret patrol car.
As opposed to marked?
I have an unmarked car. It's my car for being sheriff.
Yeah, but
I don't have one in mine, but my marked cars have those, Chris.
Okay. And that's the only place it is, it's not uploaded to the cloud anywhere.
No, and the policy depicts that. And you asked for the county to write a policy on that. Supervisor Will should be able to address that. The Sheriff's Department is my agency. I'm the sheriff of the county, it's my agency. County has no say over my agency. The only thing they control is my budget. They don't write my policy, I write my own policies. They're tight policies, they're reviewed by the Sheriff's Association, and it's a good policy. It's been passed on to other agencies.
Well, I still haven't seen it.
I gave it to you today. I sent it to you. Check your
You
email.
did, okay.
Check your email. It's clearly stated.
All right, I've been told that the New York State Division of Homeland Security, and that's where that grant came from to buy those?
Most of them come from that. Yeah, they're very expensive. They're about $20,000.
And you know, I'm not being critical, Carl. It's
No,
just
I
that I'm
totally
not.
understand.
you know? I've been told that all police departments that receive funds to buy these license plate readers have to share the information with Homeland Security.
If they need information, if they need it.
If they request it,
That's
then
it.
you give it to
And
them.
the only reason they need it, because they're also an entity of law enforcement, is for public safety. If they're tracking a wanted fugitive that may come through this area, they're gonna wanna see if they're in my data. My data only lasts 30 days though, so if they're doing a backlog history, they're not gonna get any information from me.
Okay. And they erase automatically?
Yes, oh yes, they rewrite themselves.
Oh, like right over?
Yeah, where it's over.
Okay.
So on the 29th day, it's still there. After day 30, the first day's not there.
You have a new first day.
We have a new first day. Yeah, we'll save some space. But like I said, it's there. If you check your email, it's there. I sent it to you before I had an appointment down below. And I hate to say it, everybody, if you really pay attention when you're driving down the roads, these are everywhere. Maybe people are sharing information. I'm not. I'm not doing it. It's very, very, in my policy, actually, I've got 2 extra copies here with me, because I thought maybe you'd have yours, Chris.
Oh, great, that's good, thank you.
Like I said, I was down in Montgomery County today for an appointment. I passed 2. I just happened to see them. And they're fixed. They're all over. They're in North
Oh, I
Country.
know they're
all over the place.
everywhere. It just,
What's that?
How do you identify it?
It looks like a camera. It's a little camera. And usually they're on a telephone pole, bridge. They're all over the place. You go North Country, they're all over, especially Border Patrol that using them. The Big Brother, unfortunately, is watching them. I'm not. I don't care whose car is parked in whose driveway. I do it for officer safety and make sure my guys can go home at night. And I don't care, like I said, I don't care what they
So in other words, the media screwed us around again.
No, I think they should have done their homework and come to me
They screwed us.
and asked me what my policy was, and I think that last paragraph wouldn't have been in the paper, and I wouldn't be here right now.
So they're only in the cars?
They're my cars, you'll see them. They look like little cameras, some are on the roof, some are on the hoods on them. Yeah. And we've had them for 12 years. And this isn't new to my agency, that's.
There's no other place in Hamilton County? There's no other stationary places in Hamilton County?
Not my agency, no. Not that I know of either. Not that I know of. There was talk through a consortium of the North Country putting some in the northern end of the county, but it takes money. And it has nothing to have to do with me anyways. I don't get that information. I'm part of a regional North Country consortium in regards to law enforcement. I don't share my data with them. They've never asked for my data because I don't share it with them. They know they don't share it with them. But they're there. They're around. But they're not. Those ones that you see fixed aren't mine.
Is there any way for the information to be hacked by some outside source, or is it pretty safe between the cars?
My 13-year-old kid could probably do it. I can't do it. I don't see where they're hackable. I really don't, because it's a standalone computer based.
13-year-olds are crafty.
This day and age, they're very smart.
if it's not being uploaded anywhere, then it shouldn't be hackable.
Nothing's up there.
Any other questions?
My door's always open.
All
Any
right.
questions, please stop in and see me. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move right into highway. Randy?
Hi, everybody. Where to start? Roads were unposted today, all throughout the county up to Long Lake. Long Lake is still posted, and they're around that area. They're behind us by a week or two. Power's back on, obviously. The generators had little hiccups on the startup here in the help center, but ran for the whole 48 hours fine and dandy after that. Perkins Clearing Gate, 42,000 estimated phone calls about it. We're hoping to get it open for Memorial Day weekend. It seems normally we have it open by now, by the 15th, somewhere in there. I was in there last Friday. There's still snowbanks, there's still ice in the road, and not a lot of work, but numerous culverts that were frozen and washed out and so on and so forth. We can't even drive a pickup truck hardly through it, so right now it's unworkable. So if you know anybody, speak to them. we're gonna hope for Memorial Day weekend. Fishermen and everybody are all upset, but it's what it is.
Late season.
Yeah, it's been a late season. I took off south and they didn't follow me there. The parking lot paving may commence by June 1st. That parking lot over there, we marked it out today. We got some work to do. Also, our roads, Fawn Lake Road, Fish Mountain Road, or not Fish Mountain, Fawn Lake and Tamarack Road will be done at the same time. The next on my list is the propane tank out back here. The board received a letter from the village. I got a copy of it. They're not requiring us to move it at this point in time, but if they do need to get to the sewer line, it's gonna be an expensive adventure because it's gonna be an emergency situation to move it. So whoever they hire to do it is going to be charging us dearly because they're gonna stop what they're doing and come here. I feel that we should get it moved on our own reconnaissance rather than having somebody else bill us for it. Whether or not we pay somebody to do it or we do it in-house, Dan and I talked about it. I think we came up with somewhere around $5,000 for us to
Estimate.
do it, for an estimate, rough estimate. Several things, where to place it next, so on and so forth. Eldridge's fees to unhook and rehook will be a variable. Whether or not we can get the concrete out of the ground in one piece will be a variable. If we do, it'll be
Was
cheaper.
poured in the ground.
Yeah, it's poured in the ground. It's a 20-foot by 7-foot slab with no rebar in it, no mesh. Whether or not we can lift that without breaking it, it's slim to none.
Yeah.
So we have to buy new anchors, we have to buy certain things for that. So
Does it have to be buried again, or can it be an above the ground one?
for whatever reason, the board I shouldn't say this board, the library board in their plans decided to bury it.
Well, they've
Buy a
already,
buried tank and
they've already purchased a,
they
Underground
purchased
tank.
underground tank.
it would be quite costly to go to buy an above ground tank after this investment, I would think.
Well, is it that costly, being that we're looking at a $5,000 bill to move it?
That's,
Can we sell,
who's gonna buy a used propane tank there? Used buried propane tank, maybe there's a market for it.
like,
That's
I don't
something,
know.
that's something the library board has to make a decision on.
Well, I mean, we're looking at the bill at this point in time, right?
I don't
Or
know.
is the board gonna bring it back to the,
Well, it wasn't the board's project that saw this
this
thing
board?
installed.
Right, I agree,
It wasn't the town board that contracted to have that work done.
correct.
So where is our involvement?
Being that it's on town property and town
Yeah.
building and now town-owned propane tank.
Has anybody read the contract between the town and the library for that building?
I have not, I don't know anything about that.
Does such a thing existed?
It does. There's all different stages of it. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah.
There's been 7 or 8 stages, so I'd have to pull it and see what happens. Maybe you know where it is, Dan. in
I'd
the
like to
contract.
look at the whole thing if you can.
I probably won't be able to scan it, but I'll give it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Or maybe we should have a meeting with the library board to discuss this.
I'm sure we should. But before we do that, I wanna read those contracts. Okay?
There's still, what, 28% in the tank?
Yeah, there's 28% still after this weekend running the generator, so we're weaning it down low as possible, you know, so we're still got time. And Eldridge agreed that we can put in 100 gallons or 200 gallons. We don't have to fill it the next, if we do need a little bit more and continue on.
So if we were going to do that, would you think fall or would you think sooner,
Well, I think midsummer actually,
when it's the driest?
The
driest.
Yeah, the open house for the library is August 10th. And I would think it would be better if we could wait till after that.
Mhm.
Well, August is usually your driest month.
Right.
anyway. Yeah.
Right. Late August would be prime because that's the driest and.
You're getting close to the heating season again, though.
Mhm.
What do you estimate time-wise for our part of it if we do it?
If we were to move
Yeah.
the tank, I would say,
Because I would guess they're gonna have to put a temporary in because it's not gonna happen, because if you got, in the event you gotta pour,
well, you pour the slab, we dig the hole, pour the slab, get it all set, so then we dig the tank up, have Eldridge unhook it, reset
but
it.
then you don't know if you can get the current concrete or not, or are we just writing that off?
I'm writing that off, there's no way.
I kind of figured that's what we were
4-inch
doing.
slab out of the ground, 20 feet long.
Yep,
And,
gonna have lots of pieces
yeah. But I would prep the hole.
first.
And then, right, and then
So
move
you'd
the tank
be-
and then rehook up. So it's downtime for here wouldn't be much.
So yeah, you're talking, yeah, they could put a temp tank in anyway.
Right.
So you'd be talking probably, how many days would you wait on the concrete?
Oh, well, I'm sure there's an engineer somewhere that's got that figured out, but at least a week.
Yeah, that's what I would guess, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got, you put, I assume there's, would have to be stone and compaction under it.
Underneath it,
Yeah.
yeah. And then sand, which we have
Right.
readily available
Yeah,
around it.
yep.
Forgive
So-
me if you said this already, Randy, but does the town own the tank
Yes.
or does the
Yes.
library own it?
Well, anything that was done in this project is now town's.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, thank you.
So how soon do you want a decision from us?
I'm just getting the information out to you.
Okay,
You tell me. I mean,
well, we just don't wanna lose
I'm
sight
not, I'm
of
not against you guys having a decision, a chat with the board to
Yeah,
board.
well, I think we should do that first, but I,
And then if they decide they don't wanna pay the expense, or you guys don't wanna pay the expense to move it, figure out what a cost of it above ground, sitting in the back corner, we'll pour a slab for that. I mean, that's another option.
I think Karen's away, correct? Do you know when she's coming back?
No, I think she just left the first.
Right.
When we can, we'll set up a meeting with the board. See what we can figure out.
Right,
well, we just wanna make sure we keep it in old business so we don't lose sight of it.
right, because it,
August seems a long ways away right now, but
it seems like it's getting narrower time frame in there. Next is seasonal worker. As we all know, Don Brown is retired. And I would like to fill that spot position. Right now, I'm leaning towards a seasonal worker, 4 months during the summer and 4 months during the winter. That being said, June, July, August, September, December, January, February, March. The 4 busiest
months.
months of each season. I believe I would be able to start off with a laborer's position. He'll be on the garbage trucks and then mowing and weed whacking. So that in the summertime. Come winter time, it will be groomer, so that'll be at least an MEO. So it's 2 different positions technically.
We need to
2 different
advertise.
job titles, I should say. that would cut our insurance, you know, benefits.
So you're, something we should advertise for.
Yes, I wanna advertise, but I would like to hire by the 1st of June, so,
Tomorrow would be a good time to get it started.
yeah. Advertise for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. I have some left over from the last hiring, but some people that came to me and asked, and I explained it to them, but nobody's physically given me anything yet.
You wanna get
But
together
I
with
told
Deb and
everybody,
writing the ad up then?
okay,
Well,
Then-
I'll move on the action.
Then moved by Bob to advertise the position,
Second.
second by Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Would that be two separate people if you're looking at a labor and MEO, or do you figure the same person and just,
well, it depends if that person that's the laborer can do the rooming. I mean, and I don't know what the legal ramifications of that are for a seasonal worker to go from one position to another, job title, I should say.
I don't know, but we know who to talk to now, don't we?
Well, one of the things that probably would definitely happen, I mean, I would think if you hired somebody for those 4 months, laid them off for, till you hired them, and we're gonna be paying the unemployment on them, because we're a reimbursement.
is it 26 weeks, is that?
Isn't
Yeah, it
it?
has to be 26 weeks. but
Yeah,
He may have worked someplace else before, which counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we
Trust me, I
learned
know
that,
that.
didn't
So is this a good idea, bad idea? I mean,
we need to advertise the position, see what kind of applicants you get and what kind of
Well,
category
yeah.
they fall into.
I guess we don't have to necessarily worry about that till we advertise to the next one.
Right. And if that, I mean, how much is that versus the insurance and such?
It
Are
depends
we
on,
barking up the wrong tree here? Should we be saying, looking for someone that we can keep on board?
we don't know who's applying.
Right.
I don't know, it would take,
we?
trying to think of how you begin to research that. The problem is, if the person had worked someplace else, we don't know what they made there.
Mhm.
So unemployment is based on the earnings from each of the employers, so I don't know, so you could really calculate it. Well, we know what the maximum payout per week would be,
Mhm.
so, I don't know. I
We
mean,
need to advertise and see what kind of applicants we get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Start
I mean, it
out
might
with-
be, I mean, to me, it might be interesting to see if you get an MEO that would wanna take the first one,
Right.
cause I would be surprised if you did. I mean, if I was an MEO, I don't think I would. I'd be, unless I had nothing, I wanna feed my family, I would do it,
Yeah,
yes, but
right.
other than that.
Okay. I'll advertise for labor seasonal worker, full-time seasonal. So,
Do you think in the ad, and this is a question, doesn't, do we want to let them know what the period is? Is that how that would be advertised?
yeah, I would
June to,
suggest it June,
starting June 1 and ending,
end of September.
okay?
Anything else?
So the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, I just wanna make sure that the motion that we made and passed, is that okay with everybody? Because we kinda asked a lot of questions afterwards.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna get together with Debbie on the details of the
Right.
time and,
Seasonal
Position.
worker, June to end of September.
yeah,
Labor's position,
right.
job title. And then we'll repeat in November for,
And then,
right,
If
sound
you went-
okay?
If you went till the end of August, you might be able to get a college student to do it.
yeah, they're leaving like the 15th of August though.
True.
And that's not gonna,
Yep, or earlier if they play sports or anything like that.
Okay. And that's it on my list.
Well, we spoke briefly about the dumpster construction
Oh,
debris.
yeah, put that on here.
Uh,
We had a conversation, Bob, Hankovich, Dan and I, dumpsters going out. We currently charge $40 to bring a dumpster to someone's house and $20 to dump it at after the first dumping. We now have a demolition slash construction fee out to the dump for anything over 350 pounds?
250.
250. The fee is more than what a dumpster fee would be. So if someone wants to tear apart their building and whatever, over 12 by 12, or under 12 by 12, they fill a dumpster, they get charged $40 if they can get it in one dumpster. And if they were to bring it to the transfer station, it would be more. So now we have a logistical issue here that has arisen. Do we raise the fees to the dumpsters flat, which now if somebody puts insulation in it, it's another scenario because it doesn't weigh anything. Do we empty the garbage truck, weigh it, bring it, go get the dumpster, dump it into the back of the truck, bring it, the garbage out to the transfer station, reweigh it, and then charge each dumpster dumping that way, which in the middle of summer, the only day you're gonna do that is a Wednesday because of the garbage schedule. Currently, we drive around, we pick up the dumpsters in our garbage routine. If there's one on Tamarack Road, when he goes by it, he backs up to it, dumps it into the dumpster if it's full, and moves on. Checks that he dumped it, and it's another $20 to that person. If he had to drive by it, and then either that afternoon if he got done early, or wait till Wednesday and dump, do that whole routine, it's gonna be more running around for us. And it's definitely not gonna be convenient for the people that are renting the dumpsters. Because Wednesday's the only day that's gonna happen.
So do you have a recommendation?
No,
My recommendation would be that we don't allow construction debris in the dumpsters.
okay,
Dumpsters only for,
don't let them out for construction
Household
purposes.
waste only?
Household waste, household cleaning or whatever.
Well, everything is supposed to be, what, maximum 4 feet in length?
Correct.
And they can throw something longer than that in
in a
a
dumpster.
dumpster, right?
Yeah, but it'll get crushed. I mean, it's
I understand that, but
right.
I just wanna make sure we're complying with the whole thing and not part of it.
Right.
If that's.
Someone
what we need
throws
to
a wooden bookshelf in there,
Yeah.
it's gonna get crushed up, whatever. It's supposed to be cut up to 4 foot or less,
Yeah,
so it doesn't get sideways jammed in there.
right.
That's not, the issue
I
is there's
understand.
someone saying I have a roof to put on. And now you're talking 4,000 pounds in that dumpster,
Well, shingles.
load of shingles. That's where we're missing the problem. But if someone's gutting a room in their house and they wanna get all the insulation, they don't wanna haul it to the dump because it's gonna be blowing all over, which we appreciate. Call us, we drop a dumpster off, it's loaded with insulation, we dump it and it's confined and it's not blowing all over the roadside. That's what we want, but it's that construction debris.
Bob, do we need would you issue a, if somebody was ripping a roof off a house, would you be issuing a building permit because they're putting a different roof on the house, whether it's shingles or metal?
No, only if there's structural repairs to the roof, it's the only
Okay.
time we would issue a permit. You're allowed to re-roof a house without a permit.
So you wouldn't be issuing them a C&D on that?
Yeah.
No. So no C&D on that, but a dumpster would have to be put out at $40 for the 6-yarder.
Mm-hmm.
But a $40 dumpster full of shingles could cost the town a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, currently the dump is like $65 a ton, I think.
Yeah.
69, I think.
69?
Yeah, it's about 60, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, 2 tons is $140 right there, you know. You're losing a lot of money.
And it's the ones of the insulation, the tie wrap, the this, the that we see being on the side of the roadsides, that people try to put it in their pickup trucks and drive them. Whether or not they're conscientious about it, it still ends up on our roadsides. And that's where the dumpsters are convenient.
So if, in the event that we were to assign a number to a particular dumpster when it's delivered, we would know the weight, so we would know the tear on the dumpster, tear weight on the dumpster? No?
No, we don't have scales on our truck.
No, but we could weigh our dumpsters.
Yeah, we can weigh the dumpster itself, yes.
Right, and what I'm saying is we could take them, we know what the tear is on the truck, so if we take a dumpster there, how many dumpsters do we have that would be available for that type of thing?
There's 3 6-yarders.
So I just wondered if we get a tear weight on them and we can assign a number to that dumpster, and then each time you're gonna get a slip when you dump it, right?
No, because normally we just dump it right into the truck and continue on garbage day.
Yeah, unless you made special
So
trip every
it's
time.
blended at that point.
Okay, I'm with you.
And the big thing, and obviously this is summertime,
Right, understand, yeah.
when the garbage truck's out twice a week already, recycling, the guys are recycling on Tuesday. So Wednesday is the only day that we could actually just take the truck and do individual, the 3 dumpsters. It's not like it's huge. I was planning on buying a 4th one because it is getting busy. Or do we just stop the construction? That's the easiest thing, is stop the construction debris going into the dumpsters.
Should be part of the,
Problem solved.
yeah, that's my thought.
So how would you wanna word that new form? I mean, this is something that you and I are gonna have to work on.
Big bold letters, absolutely no construction debris.
Yeah,
So if somebody was.
Dumpster will not be picked.
So if somebody was ripping apart like a room in their house, so none of that could go into a dumpster?
No.
And that's majority of the time why we use dumpsters,
That's
so that you're
correct.
not paying your contractor
To haul.
to haul, well, now your contractor's picking up that room twice.
Mhm.
They're dumping it into their pickup truck, taking it to the dump, undumping it, and coming back and forth, and that's why,
That's why
That's
people
why
use the
dumpsters, right,
dumpsters,
and-
right?
yeah.
It'll cut down the dumpster usage dramatically,
but it will add to our C and Ds.
but it'll add to our C&Ds. Because now the fire contractor's gonna load it in his dump truck and bring it out there.
or you raise the cost of the dumpsters to somewhere to around a figure that would cover the cost of it full of C and D.
Correct.
And again,
And
you
you
know,
wouldn't have to weigh it out full like shingles, because the majority of it is not roofing, it's
It
the rooms
depends,
and that.
you're gonna make out with some you're
Right.
probably gonna lose on.
Right, you're gonna lose on the shingles, but you pick up on the insulation ones. And there's regular 2x4s and 2x6s as well, that's what it is.
that's something that I think we definitely have to work on before we pass this, because
Correct.
you're also gonna need to talk to Zeke and those guys, because they're gonna be the cops that are gonna control this and bring it back to me.
Well, yeah, they'll do it.
I need to come up with a weight that's
Yeah, we gotta come up with a weight.
a value
Right.
based on weight.
Because we are the only ones who put out dumpsters.
Mm-hmm. We are.
We are the only ones.
Yeah.
No other town does it.
Oh, you wanna get together on that, we'll try to come up with something. Bob, if you help us out with that,
Sure.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
all right?
And being I do all the paperwork on all these billings, I'd like to sit in on that meeting also.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, come on, Deb, no wine.
Yeah, you got it. Because, you know, Randy has these ideas and then Debbie does the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you're at opposite ends of the table.
And
Exactly.
not stupid.
Okay.
Anything else, Randy?
That's it. I just didn't want us to be a 20-minute meeting, that's all.
Okay, old business, Chris, you had a resolution that you presented at the last meeting, which was tabled. Any comments on that at this time?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
I did, of course, me being me, a lot of research on this. And there are governments that adopt policies about license plate readers. Now, it sounds like maybe there's some kind of a dissing match going on between the sheriff's office and the county board of supervisors, if the supervisors were to attempt to do that.
No, I don't think there's an issue,
Has the
or,
Has the Board of Supervisors ever reviewed the policy?
actually, I had never seen the policy. This was, this copy that we have here right now, it's the first time I'd seen it. Yeah,
Was
but,
it-
but they've been purchased in the past with no,
Has the Board of
Oh, I know.
Supervisors voted on this already?
on the purchase of these,
Mhm.
yes,
And you voted for it at the time?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I think basically the whole reason I brought this whole thing up is I want to make sure the Board of Supervisors has thought about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I would have never, personally, I would have never thought that they would be selling data or putting this information out
Who
on
would
the
get the
cloud.
money if they did sell it?
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that part
I would-
doesn't make any sense.
Well, I didn't
and,
expect.
and knowing how
that
they
he was
use them,
selling it,
I would doubt very much
But,
that
you know, I'm still,
it would be a security risk for anybody, so I know that, they rely on them heavily, and they have for a long time, and they seem to work quite well, so
yeah.
I was in favor of them,
Well, as long as the data is, you know, staying here and being erased automatically after 30 days, I feel good about that.
yeah.
But I just, I still don't understand why the Department of Homeland Security would require everybody else that they gave money to buy these to upload
I
their
think it's probably
data,
just part of that budget.
but
yeah,
not
Yeah,
us.
I think so, yeah.
It's just an item on their budget.
So
Yeah.
that's why.
And like Carl had mentioned, I think they're interested in the possibility of some data if they're tracking somebody that's crossing the country somehow.
Well, particularly we're that close to the border, really.
Yes, yeah,
And there's
No,
not-
exactly, Route 30's.
Yeah, not a lot of
Quite
roads. other-
harder.
yeah.
yeah.
Alright.
So,
I'm willing to let it die. But
Okay.
I would like to, just maybe, if the Board of Supervisors never read this policy, I think maybe it
well, they
should.
may have, I mean, Carl was talking 12 years ago
Probably
when this
way
first
back
came up.
when, yeah.
Yeah,
But there's, you know, procedure for reviewing, like you're a new supervisor, basically, you know, and.
yeah, well,
but
Carl's spiel to the board was we've been using these for 12 years. We have an opportunity to install another set on this other vehicle.
Mhm.
And he feels that felt that they were very important to have because they work quite well. And I had to agree with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, we trust Carl. You know, we all know Carl. And as long as the information is staying here, I feel confident about that. But
Okay.
if it's not staying here, then
Chris, would you like to, maybe we'll table it one more meeting and you'll have opportunity to read it and Dan can read it?
Yeah, I'd like to read it myself too and just,
So,
yeah.
and
we-
I'm
Then if
I'm
you
happy
have
to
any
make that
questions, we
motion to
can-
table it again. I don't know if you have to
Yeah.
do that or just it stays tabled. I don't know the answer to that.
I believe it just like,
Just lays till we
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
with it and becomes, okay. I mean,
Forward them to the rest of us, because we didn't,
The resolution?
the
yeah, we'll just get copies.
policy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Carl
I had asked him for
emailed.
this last week.
Yeah,
And
Carl emailed it to you, so perhaps you could just
Yeah,
forward
we
it.
just-
oh, you have it on
Yeah.
email, so
I'll
you
do
can
that.
forward it to everybody?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
good,
Thank you.
Okay.
great, thank you. I had a couple other things under old business. Nancy, is there any update on the youth program status at all? We were waiting.
I haven't gotten any, I know she put out, a poster, did you get anything, Mike?
I got nothing.
Yeah, a poster on Facebook for the mother-son dance around Mother's Day, but that,
It's next Saturday from 5 to 9. Where's Carrie? 5 to 9?
5 to 8.
5 to 8. And she had sent out flyers to the kids at school to see what the, and they have to RSVP by the 11th. So she knows what she's got going.
And I think she did something, she was checking on a bus with Arietta.
Arietta will not be providing a bus.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
I've been away.
Nan's was away, so
So-
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
haven't had time to get you up to snuff on that.
all
But
right.
no, Arietta will not provide a bus.
I was
Okay.
in contact with Sammy about
Okay.
a week ago because one of the residents of the community suggested that we put her schedule on the website so that parents can go there and see it. And so I contacted her about, because she had this very ambitious schedule
Right,
drafted out. She only has the two things firmed up. It's the mother-daughter dance and the father-daughter dance,
Yeah.
and mother-son
Yeah.
dance.
Well, that's because if
So-
this recreation program starts, it doesn't start till July anyway, so.
Right.
Right.
So this is just something that she's doing, you know, before we start hiring aides and all that kind of stuff, so.
Oh, yeah.
And we do have one application in for a rec aide.
Besides Gary?
No, just and that's, I think still have a couple, I think there's like a week or two before we sign off on that.
all right, and that brings up, the next thing I had was the website. I know you've been working with Brian on that. Can you give us an update on where we stand on that? Does it come
Yeah,
along?
it's, I finally feel comfortable working on it. Have figured out how to use Windows 10. I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah.
You know, everybody says they hate it so much. It's a little different, but it's okay. And I actually tackled the mobile platform website yesterday. I spent about 10 hours on that.
Okay,
Mainly because there wasn't anything else to do. But I think that we're in good shape. The town's website is all up to date now. There's maybe 4 organizations that haven't gotten back to me to update their info. So I'm presuming then they must like what's on there because I sent them copies of it.
okay,
As far as I know, everything's updated. I'm starting to think about putting up new pictures because I noticed the picture of the town hall is outdated.
yeah.
I mean, when did we get the the new siding? Probably came with the new roof, right? I noticed it yesterday.
6 years ago, maybe?
5.
5?
Leo did.
2000, no.
And we did the
We-
front
we did
fascia.
We did it when I took office the first
Oh,
summer.
okay.
So 4 years ago.
Yeah. 2004.
I'm very observant. You can tell. Yeah, so I think it's coming along well, and I've asked somebody that does have a tablet to go through, and it takes quite a while to go through all the. I mean, there's tons of pages on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So when he gets a chance, he's going to go through it and make sure that it's all showing up properly on his tablet, and then I will assume that we're good with that too, and I'll ask Brian, what about cell phones, you know? I mean, so we got 2 platforms that I think are in good shape. It's the regular website that you'd access from any device,
Right,
and the modified website that you access with a tablet,
Okay.
and maybe also with a smartphone if I'm lucky.
right.
I know there was a lot of concern about the old one with the phones, the way the layout was.
Yeah, see, I don't know if tablets and phones are the same thing because Brian calls it a mobile device. You know, well, this is the website you use for your mobile devices. Well,
Mhm.
tablets are like this and phones are like that, so you know.
But I think they
I
come
think
out
they're
the same.
compatible, yeah.
Do that?
Yeah, yeah.
They're just different,
Okay.
you need glasses for them.
I bet you would. So, yeah, I think everything's all right, but it'd be really nice if anybody here wants to cruise through them and, you know, take a look and let me know if they have any suggestions or if something's wrong or it's not showing up right. I'd appreciate it.
Great, thanks for doing that, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other old business?
Would the creation of a new H fund for the grader come under old business?
Probably new business.
I'm gonna go, I wanna go out. I have to discuss the grader too today, so however you wanna handle that, whether you wanna put it all under old business because it's old.
Okay,
Okay. We will have to create a new capital projects fund for accounting for the grader. And so we would have to do a resolution on that, calling the fund H19, so 19th capital project, to account for the money borrowed for the purchase of the grader.
at 173,000.
Or whatever you're getting, you're borrowing,
Right.
173.
Well, is it the?
That's what's in the resolution.
Right, that is the amount minus the trade-in value, which we,
Right.
the check that's gonna have to go out to John Deere is the full amount.
Right, well, that's because the money from the auction
Auctions
is gonna go into
International
that
is
line,
gonna have
yeah.
to go into that fund also.
Right.
But the resolution that we passed here, the net price is $173,000.
Right,
If that's what we're borrowing.
that's what you're borrowing.
Right, and I just wanna let you know that, okay, go ahead, Nancy, I'm sorry.
No, so we just need a resolution, I'll move to, resolve to create a capital projects fund H19 to account for the money borrowed for the purchase of the grader. And I guess we would have to call it purchase of grader. You have to title it somehow, yeah.
Greater purchase,
Greater purchase, yeah.
greater purchase. You have a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor?
So about the grader, we have just finished all the paperwork and all the advertisement according to the bond writer. So I spoke to Mr. Sullivan today, the bank, and that 3.85, which of course didn't hold, will now be 3.9%, and that will be for a 15-year loan on the band. And hopefully we're closing on the 23rd at NDT Bank, and a check can be cut and paid it off, because I believe it's due the 24th.
Correct. 30 days due on this is the 24th.
By 24th. All right.
Did we vote on that? Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Is that 3.9 fixed?
No,
3.90.
yeah, no, that's not fixed.
It's variable.
It's
then
gonna,
it
it's
should-
good, well, it's gonna be variable, because don't forget, we went through, it's a BID is what they're calling it. So, and that's what we're doing the 15 years, so, no, it's gonna be variable. I just don't know. And Mr. Sullivan couldn't really peg it either, so. So it's well, actually, it's called a SIB, excuse me.
SIB. Yep.
A non-callable rate you gave me, so. And it's a 10-year.
Okay, new business. The first thing I had was the EV charging station, an idea that I think we ought to look into. We don't have electric vehicles coming through our town because there's no place to charge. There's some programs out there where you can get the equipment for free. Installation and electricity would be supplied by the owner or the leasee of the equipment and charged back to the people charging their vehicles. I'd like to look into the idea of contacting a couple local businesses in town to see if they're interested in supplying these here in town. I think we're missing the boat. People aren't coming this way because they can't charge their cars. They have apps on their phones. They know where they can go and charge their vehicles. They're going north, they're going through Lake Placid, and they're going that way because there's places to charge their vehicles. Right now, Long Lake is even looking at the possibility of adding them, which would only enhance the program for people
Yeah, right.
coming 8 or 30 or 28, heading north or northwest or northeast. So I'd like to know how the board feels about looking into that. My thought was if Mountain Market or even Charlie John's, the Lane Emporium, on the back of the Lane Emporium would be an ideal spot for a charging stations. The people could stop in town while their vehicles are getting charged, they could shop, have lunch or whatever, and, continue
How
on.
long does it take to charge a vehicle?
well, from what I understand, there's two different ways they do it out. There's a faster rate which costs more, or a longer rate. I'm looking at you two because I know you two have one.
I think it takes about 4 hours to fully charge mine
At home?
at home.
Okay, have you ever charged it at a charging
You
station?
know, I haven't. I've seen them, like at the malls and
Price choppers.
Colonies,
Yeah.
shopping center.
Price choppers.
Price
Price
chopper
choppers.
too.
Yeah.
Hotels have
That's
them,
great.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
Aviation Mall has it.
Yeah, a lot of places are
So you
putting
put
them
a
in
credit
now.
card in? You put a credit-
I don't know how that works.
Aviation Mall's Tesla, so you don't pay for it.
Yeah, but it's drawing people to the aviation mall,
Yeah.
the electric vehicles. I think we're gonna see more and more of them, and I spoke to a couple in Lake Placid that had a Tesla, and they said they go to Lake Placid because they know they can charge a car there.
Yeah.
I hate to think we're missing the boat, and I think it would be, there's an opportunity that this can be done fairly reasonably because the state is pursuing this. The board feel okay with pursuing this?
Nothing,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll work on that. I'll check with Jonathan and Dan Fry. If anybody has any other ideas as a good location, please let me know. Next thing I had was the LED lighting. I sent to board members information that I had on that so far. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. I would like to have the board's approval to move forward and pursue the opportunity of what they're saying is okaying that we work with the New York Power Authority on pursuing the idea and come up with a price to do this and see what grants are available. We have 103 streetlights, Lake Pleasant.
No, it's less. No, 120.
120 in
103 in
village.
the village.
103 in the village, but the village pays for their own, so. The rest remaining right now that the payback is roughly around 8 years. There's money available at anywhere from 1% to 3% right now. We're getting killed on our bill with what they call a facilities charge. About 60% of our power bill for the streetlights is what's called a facilities charge. With these new lights, you wouldn't have that.
The town would own them?
The town would own them. Something that came up over the weekend, and I checked on it today. Since the town would own them, are we insured for them? So I'm checking with Steve Son on that. So if we have to insure them, then we have to figure that cost into the project also.
Do we have to pay a fee to have our light on their poles?
That's part of it depends on, there's about 7 different types of setups.
Yep.
Whose pole it is, how it's located on the pole, and what kind of fixture it is. Yeah, that's why it's very confusing trying to figure it out. Right now, I'm waiting for a synopsis of what poles we have and what light fixtures and locations and everything from National Grid to look at the master cost recovery agreement and move forward on getting a cost estimate.
Dan, what about repairs?
Well, they expect the first 10 years, no maintenance. The LED lights have a long life.
Without a guarantee.
And,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
they suggest that after a period of time, you have an agreement with a contractor that would do the repair of both fixtures. The other towns around are looking into this also, and could be done on a countywide basis where we would have one contractor that would do not just our town, but Arietta's looking at it too, and Wells and some of the other towns too. So. Even Benson has 2 streetlights and they're interested in this. So It's okay if I,
Is this something you would bring up, have discussed with the village also, being that they paid for their lights?
Letty was at the same meeting I was at, and
Okay.
she seemed very interested, but she was speaking for Cheryl, who was on vacation, so.
Right.
I'm not-
I mean,
I'm
that
not sure when they
probably should
return to-
be something that is discussed at the village board meeting also, I would think.
Well, that would be up to them whether they want, how they want to handle that, but there's, you're looking at about 20% of the cost of electricity for these new LED lights. There's some cost savings. One town with 300 fixtures is saving $12 to $14,000 a year at this time. So they did a spiel on it, and they estimated over 10 years how much you're really saving. But I think the key thing is they're a much better fixture. They last a lot longer and less headaches. Right now we have 6 street lights out right now, and we have no idea when they're coming to fix them. And we're paying
Yeah,
have them
it's a
on.
monthly 6 to 8 every month that we turn in.
It's a constant headache
And some more than one.
and whether they're working or not, we're paying for them.
Right.
So it's an update that I think we should look into, and I'd be glad to pursue it as long as the board's in agreement.
Sure.
Okay.
Not spending any money, just looking into it, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, they require a board approval to actually go to National Grid to get the information on behalf of the town. Next thing I had was there's an urban forestry grant that's available. More I got looking into it just recently. The only thing I think that would qualify for this would be the Sagadaga pathway. So I'm probably going to pass this on to Dave McComb, who's been pretty much involved with that, and see if he can get some money through that. So I do have one other one. The county has agreed to work with an outside firm for grant writing. There's a number of grants in the county. Long Lake has a grant on a couple things. I think I brought this up at the last meeting. We have the need. Mountain Market would like to apply for a grant to update their pumps and their credit card readers at a cost of about $60,000 to $100,000. The village is looking at this opportunity also to update the sewage and water problems here. And Inlet is looking at this also on a consolidation of their sheriff's department with the next county over.
Probably Webb.
Yeah, down to Webb. The problem with this is the towns that are interested in being involved with this would have to put up $5,000 to help pay for the cost of the grant writing. I guess my question is the town interested in pursuing this so we can make sure we have our gas station working properly or up to date and up to code? It's not something they want to do, it's something that DEC is something they have to do. Worst scenario is they say, no, forget this, we're not selling any gas anymore. And where does that leave us here in town? $5,000 is a lot of money to put toward this, but
So what would be the start date? Were they talking 2019?
the start date for the grant?
For the grant writer?
Grant writer has already been retained by the county, and each town has the opportunity of agreement to at a fixed rate of $5,000 for a period running through December 31st, 2018, and not to exceed 2 grant applications per participating municipality.
So it's only for 2 grant applications?
Per municipality. Seems like a lot of money. for the town to be involved in.
You know, for a short period of time.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Sure.
One, if it's quote unquote for the mountain market, that would be in the village, right? And the village is looking for one also, so they are
That's it too.
tied into it. So that's their 2.
Yeah, this would,
Then, question number 2 is, are we actually looking for any grants, the town, at this point?
I,
I
the only other grant that I could see was the grant I've been working on for the museum, but that doesn't fall into this. Hotel projects, that type of grant, only certain grants fall under this.
oh, okay.
This is through the North Country Economic Development Council. It's a CFA process. So, I actually wrote up a resolution. I got mixed feelings about it myself, and I'll read it if you want. And it's, whereas several of Hamilton County municipalities have expressed interest in grant writing services, and whereas Hamilton County has determined it's not practical to hire a full-time grant writer, and whereas the town of Lake Pleasant has also determined it is not practical to hire a full-time grant writer on its own, whereas Hamilton County determined the alternative to retain strategic development specialties for such purposes with, whereas several but not all Hamilton County municipalities are interested in retaining grant writing services. And Hamilton County and the Hamilton County IDA also have some county level grant needs. And whereas this requires a method of using strategic in a way which is equitable to the county municipalities who seek grant writing services through the county's strategic contract, and be it further resolved that the Hamilton County Board of Supervisors here authorizes the use by municipalities herein of grant writing services through the county's strategic contract, and be it further resolved that any Hamilton County town or village wishing to enter into an intermunicipal agreement is hereby authorized at a fixed rate of $5,000 for a period running through December 31st, 2018, and not to exceed 2 grant applications per participating municipality. And be it also resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lake Pleasant is hereby authorized to sign an intermunicipal agreement with Hamilton County with the approval of the town of Lake Pleasant attorney. This is pretty much a generic one that the other towns are using, only
So Dan, you
specific to
said
this town.
lodging would not fall under this particular,
lodging falls under a different CFA process through the Economic Development
so
Council.
what kind of projects could we apply for?
This is one that would have to be done through the town and covers 80% of the cost.
So,
The
with
CFA
groomers-
process for the hotels, I think, is different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from what I've researched.
yeah.
But with the groomers,
Groomers could be.
we don't know if they've reopened that yet, but I would definitely be interested in that, because we're looking at major replacement costs down the line for those, so
Where are we at for you, as far as groomers?
if the VR 110 is not in good shape, but that is,
I could check that. That's a possibility.
that would be the one, and then we tried the garbage truck, but they said that's only recycling, so, and then Tracy put me on hold with that because we don't know what the county's doing with all the recycling, so.
Right.
um,
I think what,
Well, you
probably,
know,
I'm sorry?
I was just gonna point out, you're familiar with the Central Adirondack Association, I'm sure. And that's a group, their offices are in Old Forge, I think it is. And they cover an awful lot of the towns up along Route 28, you know, starting with Indian Lake. We could even opt in probably. But they get an awful lot of grant money
They have a
because
grant
they have
writer.
a grant writer on staff.
Exactly. That's what these people, that's what we're paying for. We're paying for a professional grant writer,
Right.
which increases your chances of getting this grant 90%.
Yeah.
Is there any chance of great idea of having an inter-county relationship.
That's exactly what this is.
Okay.
It's an inter-county, and any town interested in any grants would go through this program.
Okay.
There's 4 other towns right now, that are
Well,
towns and village,
not within Hamilton County is what you're saying.
all within Hamilton County.
So what I'm saying is, does Essex County or one of our neighboring counties, do they have a grant writer and we'd be able to?
Oh, you mean inter-county?
Inter-county, yes.
No, I don't know. That hasn't been discussed, but I have my doubts about that.
Oh, I just,
This was what was done on a county level. Right now, the town of Inlet's applying for a telecommunications tower, Economic Development Council for revolving loan fund, Village of Speculator water, wastewater upgrades, and the town of Limelight for their master plan. And if we run it opt-in for the gas station upgrade project for Mount Market.
What about a telecommunications tower for us? We definitely need it.
Well, there is the option of another application through the town, which would help offset this fee. When we could look at that, the groomer. I'm not sure if that qualifies under this, but it's something we can look into. So maybe I'd table this to the next meeting.
Do a little more research and,
Okay.
find out what we want.
Well, when does the
What we
county
want.
have to have a decision?
Well, I'll find out on the 23rd. I'll be at the Economic Development Council meeting. That's when the start of the new CFA process begins. So we'll have a better idea
That's
then.
when all the grant information comes out.
Yeah. That's the same date as the bank. So,
Right.
and that's all I had. Does anybody else have anything under new business?
I do. Teresa Morrison passed away while she was in Florida. And she was the town librarian for a number of years. And I think the girls in the office will be doing some research on the dates that she worked for the town. So perhaps we could do a resolution to honor her years of service working for the town.
Sure.
She passed away while we were in Florida.
While she was in Florida.
That's interesting, because we had lunch with her and Skip and Linda while we were there.
Oh.
She
guess
seemed,
it was
she seemed
just-
fine, she ate a big
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah, it was just
Communicated well
last
with us.
week, perhaps.
It was Friday night.
Friday night, yeah.
I just wanted to bring that to the
Thank you.
board's attention.
Okay.
So, who would, write? Well, once you get your information.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll-
because
we'll
we're not
do it.
sure the years that she,
Yeah.
I know she did work even in this library, because I trained her on
Yes,
the
she did,
computer
yeah.
for a little while when she.
And then we were discussing that once we did town did the resolution, we would put the resolution into a plaque and present it to
Yeah.
to them.
Great.
All right. Well, been through the bills. I'll entertain for a motion to pay the bills. Moved by Mike,
I'll second.
second by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments?
Gary Reinhardt representing 80 Karaoke this time. Different hat. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but I quick double checked. The dance is actually from 5 to 7 on Saturday, not 5 to 8. So I wanted to make that correction. It's 5 to 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
I have one, Carol Waller. When we just had this latest out of power, I was at one of our friends' houses who didn't have power, didn't have a generator, and I heard the generator going here. There's heat here, there was power here, there's a toilet here, there's internet here, and the building's closed. And I'm just wondering if there could be something done during these power outages, which there's been 3 in the last 2 months, when some people need it.
School's dedicated.
And could we extend the hours, I've talked to the library board, and extend the hours so that the community could actually use the building? You know, when I went by, there was a woman out here laying, probably talking on a cell phone, which she couldn't do at home. And, I mean, this is our community building. We enlarged it so we could use it. Could we open it and use it when we need it?
Well, I'll be setting up a meeting with Karen. I'll ask that question also.
Thank you.
But the school is the
The
emergency.
school wasn't open.
School wasn't open?
But, I mean, part of the reason we had this library expansion was for community use, not because we had a ton more books.
But how much money did we spend on a generator at the school?
school.
At the
Still
college?
costing us $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
But we got the generator here too, and it's
but I think
running.
that has to be,
$80,000.
we have to declare, don't you have to declare that we're going to use the school?
And it'd be declared an emergency location or the emergency site.
Well, not so much the site, but that there is an emergency.
There is an
It needs to be-
emergency plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Who
then check the
declares,
plan, just
who
make sure
declares an emergency?
we're working on
Who would be the one to declare it?
I think the supervisor does.
it. That's right.
Yeah. We did that once, 2 years ago. With the ice. Randy, remember?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Told people.
But I don't think power outage this time of year constitutes an emergency. So,
Well, it does, we don't have any water.
Well,
The National
water,
Grid
toilet.
come up with the water?
is that
For an extended period of time. I mean,
Yeah.
that would-
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Any other public comments?
Joy Eliezer, question. This grant writing for the county, town, village. The gas station is in the village. Wouldn't that come under their purview, not the town?
It couldn't, I would have thought so. I brought it up to the county and they said that would be a town of Lake Pleasant project. I
What
questioned
about
why.
the sewer?
The sewer would be the village.
What's the difference? They're both in the village of Lake,
I'm-
village of
I'm trying to
Speculative.
answer your question.
Okay,
I haven't
okay.
heard an answer back yet. I did question.
Okay, you haven't heard an answer. Okay, that's what.
The
okay,
village
fine.
is not intending to participate in this.
They,
Went to this Monday's village board meeting and they're not interested.
okay,
They don't wanna spend $5,000,
okay.
so.
The reason, I'm not on the village board anymore, but
Shorty, can you state your name, please?
Shorty Huffman, anyway, Chris was there and the village board decided not to participate because most of the grants that are available for the sewer renovations and stuff like that are all matching grants, you know, for something, you know, that they can't afford. And they said, you know, they could spend $5,000 to have a grant written, and then it would be something, they're looking for $2 million, and if you have a matching grant, the village can't come up with $1 million and saddle on the sewer users, you know? So
Okay.
That's why they backed out. For a while, I'm
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're concerned about being able to provide the match. They don't
Yeah.
think they'd be able to.
I got a question on that lighting, you were talking about the LED lighting. 90% of the problems with the street lights are usually not the lights themselves, it's the electric guy up on the top that controls them. So that would not be, that would be separate maintenance. And I just wanted to throw that out there because, you know, you can have an LED bulb, brand new, and you have the electric eye screw up, and the light's not gonna work anyway. So
It wouldn't use the same head that's on the pole at this,
it would still have an electric eye to control it.
I'm not, Okay.
And I always thought, now I might be mistaken, but I always thought that National Grid charged per light and not power usage on streetlights. So you could have 100 streetlights and you pay X amount of dollars per light, and they don't care if it's working or not, you're paying for that light. I don't believe they bill you separate for power for those streetlights, do they?
I got a power bill right here which shows how many kilowatts that's used, so
Is that for the streetlights, or is that,
that's correct.
okay? So they change it from what it's on.
I don't know how they would meter that.
I would guess
It's gotta be all on
Based on the-
estimate.
Yeah,
This light uses this much in this many hours.
yep. It's based on the amount of daily. Yep. Roundtable.
Danny, I got two questions. Regarding the sewer out here in the tank, has this ever been measured out exactly where that line is?
Yes.
Yeah, we have pictures of the,
We have it,
The
they
ground
went
mark.
from manhole to manhole and painted the green line across.
And how far is the tank from the line?
It's
On top?
directly on top of it. You couldn't get more centered on it.
Okay. Now, my second question is, according to the New York call to dig, the excavator is responsible for calling up the 811 number and having the utilities marked out. Now, if he called the village and the village didn't mark it out, then to me it seemed like the village would be responsible. If he didn't call the village and he just put it in anyway, then he is responsible. So I think we ought to look into that before we start spending a lot of money.
It's a valid point. I know when I do any excavating, I call and I have an account number, and I'm sure somebody has a recording of what goes through that account number. The excavator was the guy that did the rest of the excavation here. I had the name of it. Jim Reese gave me the name of the guy.
We'll find that one.
So, if it was not marked, there'll be a record, because every call in has a ticket number. And then they can track that ticket number, whether it was answered, whether it wasn't answered, blah, 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 blah.
So what will be the process?
Somebody needs to call 811, and I would say, ask for, whether or not, explain the situation to them and say, is there a dig number on this? Ticket number.
So we probably have to have an approximate time.
You'd have to have a
Date.
time, yeah, you'd have to have a date somewhere that the project started, that this project ended. I mean, somebody must have
Oh,
called
yeah.
911 on this project.
Yeah.
I've got to assume.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
I would hope.
Yeah, we don't want to be digging into some pile.
Right.
The village speculator is a member, so if there was a call put in, for any excavation within the village,
Right.
they would have a record of whether or not
On their,
that ticket was sent out to them. Once it reaches the village, then it's their responsibility. So the 811 center would be able to tell you whether or not they received a request for a
that.
location.
We'll look into that.
personally, no, but, you can.
Yeah, buildings.
I'm maintenance.
Buildings.
I can, give it a whirl, see what they say to me.
Yeah. Right,
You wanna do roundtable?
sure, go ahead.
Okay. On April 12th, Kathy, with a little training from me, completed our annual financial report for the town and filed it with the state of New York. And I didn't know if Dan had reported that to the board yet, just thought you'd be
I
interested.
did at the last meeting, I believe.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear it, so.
yeah. Chris?
No, Jim's here tonight, yes? I'm wondering if he's going to give us an update. Is
At this point, we don't have anything that's new,
nothing new?
but at the next meeting, hopefully we'll have the annual report, and I'll send it out to you, I'll email it to you, and, as a PDF, so you get it before the meeting, so you can ask me any questions.
Oh, wonderful, thank you. That's great. That was my only question.
Bob? Mike, no?
I did.
Randy, go ahead.
And my, when I got back, I read the newspaper. I know we all love the sanding of driveways. It seems Hope and Benson have dug up some stones, rattled some cages somewhere between comptrollers and so on, and seem to have put in the paper that it's illegal for the towns to sand driveways. I know that the response I get from all the taxpayers, they love it. It's a great feature that we do. The question is, are we putting ourselves into a situation? Are we covered what we normally sign a paper saying it's a state of emergency, but it's getting to be, the state of emergency is twice a week. And I don't think that is logistical. I think it's a good service for the taxpayers, but if we're putting ourselves into a liability situation, that's something I just want to bring up to the board. Hope and Benson seem to think that it's illegal, from what I read in the paper.
You're saying when the supervisor declares an emergency, it's illegal?
No, that's when it's
That's when it's legal?
That's when it's legal. That's why our insurance will cover us, so on and so forth. That's the only time.
So
Now,
you're
what's
saying
what's the legalities of declaring an emergency is the next step. It can't be just because it rained a little bit and got cold and there's a small amount of ice on driveways or whatever. It's gotta be a event, as far as I understand.
Maybe we should find out the legalities of
What's an event?
what,
What's
What-
an emergency?
what
Yes,
emergency
because I would
event?
think icy driveways would qualify for a town emergency, you know, on a day when it rains and freezes all day. Not,
Right, what an all-day event, I agree with you
Not
on that.
when it-
But it's, a lot of times, once we start this process, the phones start ringing. It's every time there's a drop of water, it hits the ground, I could slip, can you sand the driveway?
Mhm.
And we do, we, as much as possible. As anybody in this room probably knows.
Well, I know,
The village does it,
you have
we
an
do it.
elderly person or somebody who's in precarious state of health that
right,
you can call, either you or Roger, and somebody will come sand.
Right.
Or Don Vogel will come sand, you know. But how is that also covered under our insurance when somebody does that?
not that I know of, no.
Okay. Because I would think that would be,
Technically, anytime we go onto private property, we're not covered. For any reason.
now, when I was driving the
Unless it's a
ambulance,
state of
if
emergency.
we hit a driveway that we knew darn well, we couldn't get the ambulance out of, or if we couldn't get down without hitting something, you'd send somebody over to sand.
Correct.
And that is okay, something like that?
I'm not sure about that
That's
either.
iffy too, okay.
That's
we'll
very,
look into that. Check with them.
We always in the past made sure that the supervisor filled out the proper paperwork and that, so that we had it on file, the dates and all that, that it was a state of emergency. I would assume that's still
I have,
happening.
yes, I have numerous ones that he signed. And I, apply the dates to them and the conditions. It's,
You're saying it's happening too much?
yeah, I'm saying that we may be in the lovely court of law, they may do some research and say, you can't claim this every, just because at any whim. I don't know what hope has turned up in this mess, but now that it's been in the newspaper, it's been brought up, so on and so forth, it's out in the open. I don't wanna stick our necks out there and you guys say, well, why are you doing this?
Well, coming up on June 3rd is the AATV meeting. Maybe that should be brought up. Constitutes an
State of
emergency?
emergency.
State of emergency, and
Because,
see just how far you can go with this.
right, we're definitely covered if it's a state of emergency.
Right, we've all, everybody got one of these, if anybody's interested in going. I would highly suggest.
But I would think that the state association of towns, they must have a legal service. Would be able to answer that question.
What's that?
I would think that the state association
Yeah.
towns, they have probably a legal department.
Yeah. It's the
So we might be,
Association of
Well,
Towns.
so-
might be able to get some answers from them.
I'll check with
Also,
AOT.
Randy, I know that every time we have any freezing or thawing, you always get the same couple of people that call up and want special treatment.
Correct.
I would say that for those kinds of one or two people that call up every time, that perhaps it can't be done unless it's a state of emergency.
Correct. And that's what I'm trying to get is, what are we determining? Where is that level? Where is that line?
We'll check with AOT, find out what the legality is of what can be done under a state of emergency.
I mean, I'm just nervous now that it's been put out there. That, hey, if it's not legal for Hope to do it, how is it legal for us to do it?
All right, the only thing I had again was the AATV meeting coming up, if anybody's available. I've got the form in my office, I can fill it out. For that, have no reason to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Chris. Second? Mike? Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Oh,